Welcome back, students. I am your geography teacher Vandana Joshi and you are watching SST June. Students, in the previous chapter of second book, India Physical Environment, we have studied about the size and location of our country. Today we are going to start the second unit, first chapter, that is the Physiography and Structure of India, where we will study the physical structure and the topography of our country. You have already studied about the physiography of India in your 9th class, where you have studied about the different type of the physical features of our country in the different parts. Here also same, we will study the physical structure of our country, but in a vast manner. So students, let's see what will be the topics which we are going to discuss in our today's video. At very first, we will see the introduction of the chapter as what is the physiography and structure of our country. And then after that, we will cover the topic according to the ancient development of the physiography of our country. We all know in our country, the Peninsular Block, which is also known as the Deccan Plateau, the Plateau Block is the ancient development from the country. Earlier, in the supercontinent Pangaea, there were two parts. These were known as Laurasia and Gondwana. India was the part of the Gondwana land which was far from the equator, around 50 degrees. Later, it was started to move towards to the Eurasian plate, which was the part of the Laurasia, and later it was merged with the Eurasian plate. Then it was now near around 8 degrees 4 minutes north from the equator. So that we will study in the Peninsular Block. Then later the next one is the Himalayan and other peninsular mountain. So first ancient feature was the Peninsular Block, then the next was the Himalayan and other peninsular mountain. After merging with the Eurasian plate, the Himalayas were formed at the place of the Tethys Sea. So that we will study in the second part, and then after that in the third part of our today's topic, that we will study Indo-Ganga-Brahmaputra plain. After formation of Himalaya, the latest formation was the plains, which were formed with the help of the rivers. So main rivers were there, that was Indus, Ganga river and the Brahmaputra river in the northern side. So let's start our today's video with the introduction of the chapter. So, if we will go through the introduction of the physiography and structure, we all know the formation of our earth was started around 4.6 billion years ago. BYA means billion year ago, the formation of earth. After formation of our earth, the continent which was formed in our earth, it was in the shape of like a fish. Different type of continents were there, which was later separated from the plates, and here somewhere here that was the 0 degree equator. So it was looking like that, where after few years it was started to separate from each other. So then after few years it was started to separate from each other around 55 million years ago. Around 55 million years ago, the Indian plate started to shift towards to the north. it was started to shift towards to the north, and after that around 10 million years ago, the Indian plate merged with the Eurasian plate. Merged with the Eurasian plate, where we can say it was around 10 million years ago, that was known as the formation of India. So we can say around 10 million years ago our country was formed, where the Gondwana land was formed after the eruption of volcanic eruption, and it was formed with the igneous rocks, and due to that the peninsular part of our country, which is also known as the Deccan part of our country, is the ancient part of our country. So now one by one we will study about these all physiographical structures of our country, but before that we will see a short video where we will see the formation of our country. Now let's see what is the first division of our Indian subcontinent. So as I told you that we are going to start the physiography of our country from the ancient development of the physical structure. So it was first of all the Peninsular Block was formed. After formation of the country India around 10 million years ago, there was a part which was divided by the Gondwana land and merged with the Eurasian plate. That part was known as the Peninsular Block, which is now situated at just below down the northern plain. After the northern plain, our Peninsular Block is situated. It is also separated into three parts, which detailed we will study in the second video. Then after that, if we will talk about the formation of the Peninsular Block, I already told you that the Peninsular Block was formed after the eruption of the volcano. When the molten magma cools down, during that time it was changed into the igneous rocks, and we know that the igneous rocks surface are very hard. So the Peninsular Block, which is formed by the igneous rocks, it is also having a very hard structure. So here we can say the peninsula was formed essentially by a great complex where we are having a different type of the components of minerals. And if we will go through the structure which was formed in the Peninsular Block, these are the Aravalli Hills near around the Satpura Range, Aravalli Range, Annamalai Hills, Nilgiri, Sahyadri, and many more other mountain ranges we are getting in the Peninsular Block. Now, let's study more about the Peninsular Block through some pictures. Now, let's see a detailed introduction about the Peninsular Block. As I told you, the Peninsular Block is situated below the northern plains. It can be taken as an irregular line running from Kutch along the western flanks to the Aravalli Range near Delhi and then roughly parallel to Yamuna and the Ganga and Ganga Delta. Peninsulas were formed essentially by a great complex of very ancient gneisses and granites. The peninsula mostly consists of relief and residual monuments like the Aravalli Hills, the Annamalai Hills, the Javdi Hills and the Mahendragiri Hills. We will study more about the Peninsular Block in the topic the Peninsular Plateau, where we will study about three broad categories of this Peninsular Plateau, that is the Deccan Plateau, the Central Highland and the Northeastern Plateau. Now let's see the next physical structure, that is the Himalayas and other peninsular mountains. We all know the Himalayas along with other peninsular mountains are young, weak and flexible in their geological structure, unlike the rigid and stable Peninsular Block. But how the Himalayas were formed? Himalayas have been formed by folding, while minor physical features in them have been the result of weathering and other agents of changes. We can see few evidence through which we can know about the formation of Himalayas and other peninsular mountains. It has been learned that the Himalayas had been formed by the internal force in various phases of movement. It had been uplifted from the great geosyncline known as Tethys Sea in the folded form. These uplifted ranges had been denuded by the weathering and the other agents of changes such as river and glaciers. These agents of changes covered the minor physical features such as gorge, U-shaped valleys, hanging valleys and ridges. The Indus Gorge is the result of erosion and the weathering process in the Himalayas. Many U-shaped and hanging valleys found in this region are the result of erosional work of glacier and ice. The fertile valley of Kashmir is also a good example of these Himalayas and other peninsular mountains which were formed in that area. In the next video, we will see the detailed account of Himalayas, where we will study the northern Kashmir Himalayas, main Himalayas, greater Himalayas, which is also known as Himadri, the middle, lesser or Himachal Himalayas, Shivalik or the outer Himalayas, offshoots of the Himalayas, in which we will see eastern Himalayas and the western Himalayas, and we will also study the regional divisions of the Himalayas in the next video, where we will study in the detail about the physiographical structure of the Himalayas. Here now I am going to provide you a short video about the formation of the Himalayas. The third geological division of India comprises the plains formed by the river Indus, Ganga and the Brahmaputra river. These plains are divided into northern plains and other several parts. That is also known as northern plain, about which we will study in the next video. But in short, we can say these are formed by alluvial deposits brought by the rivers Indus, Ganga and the Brahmaputra. These plains are extended up to 2400 km from east to west. The average width is about 150 km to 300 km. The alluvial plains can be divided into two types, that is of Khadar and Bangar. So the northern plains, which is formed by the Indo-Ganga-Brahmaputra river, you can see through this map where you can observe easily about these plain areas. If you will see the features of these Great Plains, the Great Plains extended along with the Himalayas. Great Plains are of the recent origin, less than 2 million years old. These plains contained a number of physical features. Along the northern margins are the Piedmont Plains, composed of porous pebbles mixed with fine previous detritus. They are also known as the Bhabar in Punjab and Duars in Assam. South of Piedmont Plains is a marshy tract known as Tarai. The old alluvium is known as Bangar and newer is known as Khadar in Uttar Pradesh. There are two big depressions in Bihar known as Jala near Patna and Tal near Mokhma. Moreover, about the location of this division, the Indus Basin is spread over the states of Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and the Punjab. Secondly, the Ganga Basin covers Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and West Bengal. And thirdly, the Brahmaputra Valley is formed in Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. And Ganga Brahmaputra Delta is in West Bengal, which is also known as Sundarban Delta. Now let's look upon an aerial view of Indo-Ganga-Brahmaputra plain. Students, here we have seen the introduction and the formation of physiography of our country. In our next video, we will study about the physiography of our country as in different parts like the northern plains, the Deccan Plateau, the coastal plains, the coastal areas, the islands and many more other parts. And for that, you have to keep watching SST Zone.